Good morning, readers. Today we are going to be talking about determining an author's message and growing our ideas about a topic. If you haven't done so yet, get out your reading, learning, intention sheet. Go ahead and fill in the date, which is 11/23. Record the book that you will be reading and write in. Today, as a reader, I am working on determining the author's message and growing my ideas about a topic. Boys and girls, today we will be putting together a lot of the things that we have learned from this unit. If you remember last week, we talked about this text structure chart for expository nonfiction. We talked about the 5 different kinds or ways that expository nonfiction is organized. Remember, there's comparison, cause and effect, problem solution, chronological, and question answer. We even came up with some examples for these that we filled in together, or you might have filled in on your own chart. So we found that dolphins was a comparison, polar problem was a cause and effect, vomiting isn't just gross was a question and answer, and I went ahead and filled in face to face with wolves under chronological. We learned that authors often organize their writing in a certain way to give us a message, and that it's our job to figure out what that author's message is, or what they're trying to tell us through organizing their writing in a certain way. For example, with vomiting isn't just gross, the author organized the information in a question and answer format. Why do you think the author did this? Turn and talk to your reading partner now. Readers, the author of Vomiting Isn't Just Gross wanted to inform us about vomiting. They wanted to let us know that it has a specific purpose. So, with every text, an author is trying to communicate something to us, and it's our job as a reader to figure out what that message is. If you remember, we have also used this growing ideas chart throughout many of our reading and writing units, and we will continue to use it. So it's really important that as we talk with our reading partners about what we're reading, we use this chart, and we're going to use it today. Readers, as we think about what an author is trying to tell us, we can grow our ideas and talk about them with our reading partner. So, I wanted to use the article Polar Problem that we used last week. We know that the author of this article wrote it in cause and effect format. So they told us that the cause of the polar problem is global warming, and that the effect is that polar bears are starving to death. So, if I were going to talk with my reading partner about this article, I would tell them that this was written in cause and effect. And then I would want to talk to them about why the author chose to write it in this format. And so I might use something like, this is giving me the idea that the author really cares about polar bears. They really wanted us to know that polar bears are dying because of global warming. And then I might even go on to say that I used to think this wasn't a big deal, but now I realize that it is. I also used to think that things that I do don't really matter or don't have consequences, but now as I read this article, I'm starting to think that they do. So as I read this last part right here, it talks a little bit about the causes of, or potential causes of global warming, and that makes me think that my actions also have consequences, and that I could be part of the solution, which makes me think that the author wrote this article not only to make us aware of the problem, but also to help us understand that we can help or fix the problem. So right here at the very end it says scientists can't agree on what causes global warming. Some say it just happens naturally. Others say it is caused when people pollute the air by burning fuel. People burn fuel every time they drive cars or use electricity. So saving electricity just might be a way to help the polar bear. I'm thinking that the author wrote to inform us and to let us know that we can help the polar bear by just doing some simple things, like turning off the lights when we're not using them. So, readers, a sticky note about this. Remember our sticky note chart that we looked at earlier in the unit about level 3 and level 4 sticky notes? Well, I was aiming for a level 4 sticky note here, and I wrote it right here. Readers, this is what my sticky note says. Polar problem is written in cause and effect structure. The author wrote in this way so we would know that our actions have consequences. This makes me think that the author cares for these animals and wants us to take action. As it says in the article, saving electricity could reduce the fossil fuels we burn, which could help polar bears by stopping global warming. This is important because we all need to remember that our actions have consequences. Readers, you'll notice that I did write about the text, but I wrote about some of my own ideas about what the author was trying to communicate in the text, which would meet the level 4 standard. So I wrote about my own idea. I used evidence from the text to support it, and I even used words like "this is important." You're going to do this now. Readers, we're going to use the page from the Dolphins book that compares and contrasts dolphins and porpoises. I'm going to read it aloud just to remind you about what it's all about. What's the difference between a dolphin and a porpoise? Not that much. Dolphins and porpoises look and act very much alike. Both have streamlined bodies, tail flukes, and blowholes. Porpoises are usually smaller and rarely longer than 7 feet in length. Most dolphins are not longer than 10 feet. Perhaps the best way to tell dolphins and porpoises apart is by their heads and bodies. Porpoises have smaller heads and lack a beak or snout. The top or dorsal fin on a porpoise is triangular, like the dorsal fin of a shark. The dorsal fin of a dolphin is rounded like a wave. A porpoise's teeth are spade-shaped, while a dolphin's teeth are cone-shaped. Dolphins have lean, streamlined bodies. Porpoises often look chubby or chunky by comparison. Porpoises are rarely seen on the surface of the water. Dolphins often swim on or just below the surface, riding the bow waves of fishing boats. Dolphins also show less fear of humans than porpoises do. All right, readers, we already decided that this was written in cause and effect format, so we don't need to discuss that. But what we do need to discuss is why the author would have chosen this format. Right now, I want you to discuss with your reading partner why the author chose this format. Use the Growing Ideas chart. Readers, remember that as we talk about articles and write stop and jots about them, we must also use evidence from the text. So I want you to try talking to your reading partner one more time, and this time make sure that you use some evidence from the text. Readers, today Mrs. Whalen's class will log on to Google Classroom and answer questions about the article Tsunami. The rest of us will read around our book boxes, as we have been this entire unit, and we will stop and jot. We will share with our reading partners at the end of reading time. Be prepared to talk with your reading partner for quite a while. Boys and girls, I have noticed that sometimes we think we're done, but if you feel like that, you need to think about something else to share with your reading partner. Be prepared to talk for about 10 minutes. So that means that you should have at least 3 stop and jots to share with your reading partner. Let's have a great reading day.